Perhaps you've noticed it happening slowly. The friend who always called you first when they needed to talk, you let it go to voicemail. The coworker who dumps their problems on you every morning, you started wearing headphones. The family member who drains you at every gathering, you stopped showing up. And somewhere in the quiet of your own mind, a thought appeared that almost frightened you. I just don't care anymore. You used to feel everything. Other people's sadness lived in your chest. Their anxiety became your anxiety. Their pain kept you awake at night, turning over solutions for problems that were never yours to solve. You were the one everyone came to, the listener, the healer, the one who always understood. But now, something has shifted. The well that never ran dry has run dry, and you don't know whether to be terrified or relieved. If this is where you find yourself today, stay with me, because what feels like the death of your compassion may actually be something far more important. According to Carl Jung, the great analyst of the human soul, this moment, the day the empath stops caring, is not a breakdown. It is a breakthrough, a necessary death that comes before the deepest kind of rebirth. Today I'm going to walk you through what Jung understood about this profound psychological shift, why it happens, what it truly means, and why the guilt you're carrying right now, you may need to let it go. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe and leave a comment. Have you experienced this shift? That moment when you realized your endless well of compassion had finally hit bottom? I want to hear your story. Let me ask you something. When did caring become your identity? Think back. Maybe it started in childhood. You were the sensitive one, the one who noticed when mom was upset before she said a word, the one who made peace between fighting siblings, the one teachers described as mature beyond your years. And somewhere along the way, you learned a silent lesson. Your value comes from what you give to others. Your worth is measured by how much you can carry for them. Jung called this the formation of a complex, a pattern of emotions and memories that clusters around a central theme and begins to run your life without your conscious awareness. For many empaths, this complex forms early. You learn that love is conditional, that you are safe when you are useful, that your feelings matter less than your ability to manage the feelings of others. And so you adapted. You became exquisitely tuned to the emotional frequencies of everyone around you. A shift in someone's tone, a flicker of disappointment in their eyes, the weight of words left unspoken. You felt it all, and you responded automatically, instinctively, before you even knew you were doing it. This was never a gift you chose. It was a survival strategy, and for years, perhaps decades, it worked. People loved having you around. They felt seen, felt heard, felt held. And you felt needed, which was almost the same as feeling loved. Almost. But here is what Jung understood about the psyche. Any pattern that begins as protection eventually becomes a prison. The very thing that kept you safe as a child begins to suffocate you as an adult. The complex demands more and more. The mask grows heavier, and one day, without warning, something inside you simply says, enough. Jung spoke often about the persona, the mask we wear to navigate the social world. For empaths, the persona is often that of the caretaker, the nurturer, the endlessly available friend. And this mask is not false, not exactly. It reflects a real part of who you are, but it is not the whole of who you are, not even close. The problem is this: when you wear the caretaker mask for too long, you begin to forget there is a face beneath it. You lose track of your own needs, your own desires, your own boundaries. You become so skilled at attunement to others that you become a stranger to yourself. And the world reinforces this. People praise you for your selflessness. They admire your patience. They say things like, "I don't know how you do it. You're always there for everyone." And you smile, and inside something is slowly dying. Jung warned that the persona, when over-identified with, creates a dangerous imbalance in the psyche. The conscious mind becomes inflated with this role. Meanwhile, the unconscious, the shadow, grows restless. It holds everything you have denied yourself, your anger, your resentment, your secret exhaustion, your forbidden wish to just walk away and never look back. So when you suddenly stop caring, it is not a moral failure. It is the shadow finally breaking through. It is your unconscious mind staging a revolution against a conscious identity that has become a tyrant. And this revolution, as painful as it feels, is the beginning of your freedom. Have you noticed the guilt, that relentless gnawing guilt that shows up the moment you set a boundary, the moment you don't respond to the text, the moment you choose yourself? The guilt says, who are you to rest when others are suffering? Who are you to say no when they need you? You're becoming cold. You're becoming selfish. You're becoming someone you swore you would never be. But Jung would ask you to look at this guilt more closely. Where does it really come from? Is it truly your voice, or is it an echo of old conditioning, old wounds, old beliefs about what you must do to deserve love? In Jungian psychology, guilt often serves as a guardian of the old order. It keeps you compliant with patterns that no longer serve you. It punishes you for stepping outside the role you were assigned. It is not moral wisdom. It is psychological inertia. And here is a difficult truth. Some of the people in your life have grown accustomed to your endless giving. They have built their emotional lives around your availability. When you begin to withdraw, when you begin to prioritize yourself, they will not always understand. Some may call you selfish. Some may accuse you of changing, of not being who you used to be. And they are right. You are not who you used to be. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. And that is not a betrayal of love. That is love finally turned toward the one who has needed it most, yourself. Jung said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. For the empath, this means accepting that you are allowed to have needs, that you are allowed to be unavailable, that your compassion is a gift you give, not a debt you owe. And accepting this will feel terrifying at first, because it dismantles the very foundation of your old identity. There is a process Jung called enantiodromia, a Greek term meaning running counter to. It describes the tendency of things to turn into their opposites when pushed too far. When one attitude dominates the psyche too completely, the unconscious begins to generate its opposite with equal force. For the empath who has given endlessly, this opposite is the sudden urge to give nothing at all. The person who could never say no now cannot say yes. The one who felt everything now feels numb. The heart that was always open slams shut. And this is not cruelty. This is balance seeking itself. Think of it like a pendulum. For years, perhaps your whole life, the pendulum has been stuck at one extreme. Total availability, endless emotional labor, the complete abandonment of self for others. The energy required to hold it there was immense. And when you finally let go, the pendulum swings hard in the other direction. This is why the shift feels so dramatic. Why you go from feeling everything to feeling nothing. Why the person you once dropped everything for now barely crosses your mind. It is not that you have become heartless. It is that your heart is recalibrating, finding its true center, learning what balance actually feels like after a lifetime of imbalance. Jung would say this is a necessary phase. You cannot find the middle until you have experienced both extremes. The numbness you feel now is not your destination, it is a way station, a place where your psyche rests and recovers before continuing its journey toward wholeness. So if you find yourself in this cold and quiet place, do not panic. Do not force yourself back into the old patterns out of fear. Trust that something deeper is at work. Trust that the pendulum will eventually find its center. And when it does, your compassion will return, but it will be different. It will be chosen rather than compelled. It will be sustainable rather than self-destructive. It will be real. Jung spoke of a journey he called individuation, the process of becoming the person you were born to be, not the person your parents needed you to be, not the person society rewarded you for being, but your true self, whole and undivided, with all your contradictions integrated into one coherent soul. For the empath, individuation often begins with this very crisis. The day you stop caring is the day you stop asking the questions you have been avoiding your entire life. Who am I when I am not taking care of someone else? What do I want when no one else's needs are on the table? What would my life look like if I stopped performing selflessness and started living authentically? These questions are terrifying because you may not have answers. You have spent so long focused outward that the inner landscape is unfamiliar territory. You may feel lost, empty, uncertain of who you even are without your role. But Jung would tell you this emptiness is sacred. It is the fertile void from which new life emerges. It is the darkness of the cocoon where the caterpillar dissolves before becoming a butterfly. You cannot skip this phase. You can only move through it with patience and with trust. And here is what waits on the other side: a compassion that does not deplete you, a love that includes yourself, boundaries that feel natural rather than forced, the ability to be present with someone's pain without drowning in it, the freedom to choose when and how and to whom you give your energy. This is the gift of the empath who has completed the journey. Not cold indifference, not numb disconnection, but a warm, grounded, sustainable presence that can truly help others precisely because it no longer abandons the self in the process. Let us speak now of those who will resist your transformation, because they exist. They may be family members, friends, partners, colleagues, people who benefited from the old you, people who counted on your inability to say no. When you begin to change, these people will often try to pull you back. They may use guilt. After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me. They may use shame. You've become so cold, so selfish, I don't even recognize you anymore. They may use fear. You're going to end up alone if you keep pushing people away. Jung understood that transformation always meets resistance, both from within and from without. The people around you have adapted to your patterns. Your change disrupts their equilibrium. Their resistance is not necessarily malicious. It is often just the natural response of a system trying to maintain itself. But here is what you must understand. Their comfort is not your responsibility. Their inability to adapt to your growth is not a reason to abandon that growth. You can have compassion for their struggle without sacrificing yourself to ease it. And sometimes, painful as it is, transformation means outgrowing relationships that cannot evolve with you. Not everyone will make this journey by your side. Some people were only meant to walk with you for a season. And honoring their departure is part of honoring yourself. Jung said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. When you change and another person refuses to change with you, the relationship cannot remain what it was. This is not failure. This is not failure. This is natural law of psychological evolution. So do not let the fear of loss keep you trapped in patterns that are killing you. The relationships that are meant for you will grow alongside you, and the ones that fall away were built on a version of you that no longer exists. Let them go with love, and trust that what remains will be more real than anything you have ever known. There is an archetype Jung called the wounded healer. It describes those who are drawn to healing others precisely because of their own unhealed wounds. The empath often embodies this archetype. You became sensitive to others' pain because you knew pain intimately. You developed the ability to hold space for suffering because no one held space for yours. And there is beauty in this, real beauty. The wounded healer offers something that no amount of training can provide: genuine understanding, the knowledge that comes only from lived experience, the compassion that is born from lived experience, the compassion that is born from personal suffering. But the wounded healer faces a crucial choice. You can continue to pour yourself out for others while neglecting your own wounds, in which case you eventually collapse, burn out, become bitter, become empty. Or you can turn your healing gifts inward. You can become the patient you have always been searching for. You can offer yourself the love and attention you have so freely given to everyone else. This is not selfish. This is the completion of your purpose. The wounded healer who finally heals themselves does not lose their gift. They deepen it. They become capable of helping others, not from a place of depletion, but from a place of overflow. Not from a place of shared brokenness, but from a place of demonstrated recovery. Your wounds do not disqualify you from healing, but your refusal to address them will eventually make you dangerous to yourself and to those you try to help. The empty vessel has nothing to pour. The burnt-out healer leaves ashes instead of light. So when you stop caring, when the numbness descends, see it as an invitation. Your psyche is demanding that you finally do for yourself what you have spent a lifetime doing for others. Sit with your own pain, listen to your own needs, heal your own wounds, and when you emerge from this process, you will not be less of a healer. You will be the healer you were always meant to become. How do you rebuild? Not by returning to old patterns, not by swinging back to endless self-sacrifice, but by constructing a new way of being, one conscious choice at a time. First, learn to recognize the difference between genuine compassion and compulsive caretaking. Genuine compassion flows naturally, without resentment, without exhaustion. It respects both the other person and yourself. Compulsive caretaking is driven by fear. Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of not being enough. It depletes you and often enables unhealthy dynamics in others. Before you give, pause. Ask yourself, is this a genuine desire to help, or am I trying to earn love? Am I giving from abundance or from fear? Will this leave me nourished or drained? Second, practice the sacred art of doing nothing. For the empath who has spent a lifetime in motion, constantly scanning for others' needs, stillness feels almost unbearable. But in that stillness, you will begin to hear your own voice. Perhaps for the first time, let yourself be bored. Let yourself be unproductive. Let yourself simply exist without justifying your existence through service to others. Third, build boundaries like you are building a home. Not walls to keep everyone out, but doors you can open and close as you choose. Windows that let light in without letting storms destroy your peace. A foundation of self-worth that does not depend on external validation. Jung said, until you make the unconscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Your boundary-less giving was unconscious. It was programmed into you before you had the ability to question it. Now you are making it conscious. You are examining it, questioning it, and choosing something different. This is the work. It is slow, it is imperfect. It will involve setbacks and guilt and moments when you fall back into old patterns. But each time you choose differently, each time you honor your own needs, you are rewiring decades of conditioning. You are becoming free. Perhaps as you listen to these words, you feel something loosening in your chest. That tight knot of guilt beginning to dissolve. That voice that always said you weren't doing enough growing quiet. And in its place, a new voice, softer, kinder, saying things you have never allowed yourself to believe. You have given enough. You have carried enough. You are allowed to rest now. This is the voice of the self, in Jung's terminology, not the ego, which is trapped in its roles and personas, but the self, the totality of who you are, the wise center that has been waiting patiently for you to listen. The self does not ask you to abandon compassion. It asks you to expand it, to include yourself in the circle of those who deserve care, to recognize that you cannot truly love others while abandoning yourself, that the deepest form of empathy is one that flows in all directions, including inward. Jung wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." For the empath, the darkness includes your own denied needs, your suppressed anger, your secret exhaustion. The day you stop caring is the day you begin to make this darkness conscious. And consciousness is always the first step toward transformation. So let us speak plainly about what is happening to you. You are not becoming cruel. You are recovering from a lifetime of self-neglect. You are not losing your gift. You are learning to give it sustainably. You are not failing at love. You are discovering what love actually means when it includes yourself. The numbness will pass. The pendulum will find its center. And when it does, you will be capable of a compassion you cannot even imagine right now. A compassion that does not cost you your life force. A compassion that arises from wholeness rather than wounding. But first you must pass through this desert, this silence, this strange and frightening emptiness where the old you has died and the new you has not yet been born. Do not rush this process. Do not let guilt push you back into patterns that were destroying you. Do not let other people's discomfort become more important than your own healing. You have spent your whole life attending to others. Now it is time to attend to yourself, not forever, not as a permanent retreat from the world, but for as long as it takes, until the well fills again, until the exhaustion lifts, until you can give from joy rather than from obligation. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." For the empath, this means becoming someone whose compassion includes themselves, someone whose boundaries are as strong as their heart is open, someone who can be fully present for others because they are no longer running on empty. This is who you are becoming, even now, even in the numbness, even in the jilt, even in the strange grief of letting go of an identity that no longer serves you. The day the empath stops caring is not the end of the story. It is the end of a chapter that needed to close, so a new one could begin. And this new chapter, it belongs to you, only you. Finally,